Hey everyone, me Kevin here with your late night show on updates for the next rounds of stimulus and the next stimulus package for July 17th. Did you know that Congress usually only spends an average of 165 days per year in Congress? That, on average, is less time than kindergartners spend at kindergarten, which makes you wonder how much of those 165 days in Congress is dedicated to nap time with how little they get done. By the way, I did post 2 new real estate videos. Check those out if you're interested in real estate. They may not have been suggested to you. And at the same time, Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin today called on Congress to pass additional stimulus prior to the end of the month. That way we would finally have our anxiety ended and we'd finally be done with this next stimulus package and we'd finally know what we're going to get. But isn't it ironic that Steve would choose to make that call on July 17th, just 3 days before Congress finally goes back to work, and not 2 weeks ago when they could have canceled or delayed their recess to get this bill done? Thanks, Steve. Way to go. But hey, you know what? I guess it's better than hearing we have to wait until August 7th or August 10th or some kind of delayed recess in August. I'm kind of getting sick of hearing the word recess, and I used to like recess. Steve Mnuchin is also the guy encouraging the extension of the unemployment boost. He just wants to make sure that we make less money from the boost than we did at our job prior, or at least not more than our prior job while being on unemployment. Steve Mnuchin is also encouraging another round of stimulus payments and says they can go very quickly, especially since now that they've ironed out the kinks, they should be able to process the next rounds of payments smoothly and quickly, which is a big priority, especially for Donald Trump, who is also in support of another round of stimulus checks. Now, while this sounds good, we have to be real here. Steve Mnuchin is the guy who likes to look through rose-colored glasses. He sees the third and fourth quarters as having positive growth despite all of these spikes in cases because solely the majority of businesses are open. I guess to Steve Mnuchin, just being open is good. That's kind of like saying you don't have to worry about the forest fires, folks. The fire department is open, but all the firefighters are on recess, but they're open. Hey, well, hopefully in this pandemic, you've already gotten your 2 free stocks with Webull when you deposit $100, and you've gotten your life insurance, which you could sign up for in as little as 5 minutes. But a big part of the next stimulus package will be a debate over how much aid states should get. Steve Mnuchin, who likes to hang out with Jerome Powell and Jerome Powell's money printer, resisted pressure to send aid to state and local governments. States like New York and Jersey and Connecticut, who have been highly impacted by the pandemic, send more money to the federal government than they take from the federal government. Yet Mnuchin said, hey, you know what? If states need more money, they should just cut benefits or raise taxes. That seems incredibly tone deaf for a man who can in theory borrow as much money as he wants. Jay Powell just printed up for him. The states do not have that luxury. It also seems very unfair given that there are states like Kentucky, which I'm not trying to bag on Kentucky. Instead, I'd like to bag on Mitch McConnell because Mitch McConnell is the senator for Kentucky. Kentucky takes more money out of the federal pot than they put in. Yet now during a pandemic, Steve Mnuchin says, things are looking good. We don't need to help. You know, I'm starting to think that Steve was that kid in preschool who wouldn't let anybody else have a crayon from his crayon box because he liked how he organized it. Meanwhile, he was born wealthy into a banking family. Meanwhile, former chairman and chairwoman of the Federal Reserve, Ben Bernanke and Janet Yellen, both said that we learned from the last financial crisis that a slowdown at the state and local levels slows the entire country's economic progress. And both of them encouraged substantial support to state and local governments to prevent another dramatic decline in economic growth. So pay attention to how much state and local governments get support through this next stimulus package. We know Democrats want it, but we know that Republicans are resisting it. Trump doubled down this week on a payroll tax cut, which some are calling an attempt to defund Social Security, despite the program basically already running out of money. Within the next 5 years, they won't have enough money to cover all of their expenses. Donald Trump said that if a payroll tax cut is not in the bill, he would not sign it. This is quickly becoming a red line for Donald Trump, which Democrats are extremely hesitant on giving him because it would be seen as a pre-election victory. Remember that a payroll tax cut increases your take-home pay, so it would feel like a 6% boost or raise when you go to work. Unfortunately, again, this does nothing extra for people who are already tired, and it does nothing extra for our heroes. they all seem to be left behind. At the same time, the IMF is now suggesting what we do. The IMF, by the way, is the International Monetary Fund, and they lend money to countries in need. Well, the IMF had a few things to tell us. By the way, the IMF is located in Washington, D.C. The IMF said that the U.S. should move quickly on new stimulus measures to hasten the economic recovery from a second quarter pullback, and to permanently improve Social Security, and to facilitate a broader repairing of the economy. This is really interesting because it comes right on the heels of Donald Trump talking about cutting payroll taxes, which would defund Social Security. So here's the IMF saying, you guys need to do more stimulus, provide more of a social safety net, and fix your broken economy. And then we wonder, hey, we're the largest economy. What's broken? What does the IMF think is broken? Well, they say we need to fix these things because of a resurgence in COVID cases, systemic increases in poverty, elevated debt levels, and low inflation, which low inflation tends to make paying debt off harder. When you have inflation, it makes it easier to pay off debt. I talk about that a lot in my money and finance course and in my real estate investing course. Link for those down below. But this is a pretty scathing review for our country from the IMF. In the meantime, business research from Harvard suggests that people and employers are now hiring employees who have experience over employees with degrees. So if you have experience and you're looking for a new job, make sure that is at the top of your cover letter. In the meantime, remember coupon code Larry for today for the program in the links down below. The program's all of the options that are available for you. That is the update for today. I hope you appreciated this quick update. Consider subscribing, and folks, we will see you next time.